At least 4 are said to be key players in the family business, and they're continuously staving off challenges to their power. The botched and bloody Mexican operation to capture one of El Chapo's sons puts the international spotlight on the drug kingpin's grown children, who've taken on key roles in the Sinaloa Cartel since their father's been behind bars. Ovidio and Ivan are just 2 of Chapo's sons, known collectively as Los Chapitos, or Los Menores, who've become targets for U.S. and Mexican authorities. The Department of Justice charged Ovidio and Joaquin Guzmán López with drug trafficking in and have been trying to track them down ever since. El Chapo has a lot of sons, the official count is 15, but up to 24 people are rumored to be his offspring. Most of them aren't in the cartel business, but at least 4 are said to be key players, and they've been continuously staving off challenges to their power since their dad's imprisonment. They're thought to control the local drug trade in Culiacan, Mazatlán, Guamúchil, and other Sinaloan cities, and they use groups of gunmen, notably one called Los Demonios, to enforce their rule. Still, the top dog in the cartel remains Ishmael El Mayo Zambada Garcia, who ran it in partnership with Chapo. Here's what you need to know about Los Chapitos. Ovidio Guzmán López, nicknamed El Ratón, the Mouse, the child of Chapo's second marriage, is at the center of the Culiacan mayhem, reportedly captured by authorities. He's been wanted for years. After the cartel opened fire on authorities in the streets, the Mexican government deemed the threat of violence to civilians too high, and they let him go. The U.S. Treasury Department designated him and his brother Ivan as key lieutenants in the Sinaloa Cartel. He's wanted by the U.S. on drug trafficking charges issued in February. Ivan Archibaldo Guzmán. He's El Chapo's eldest son at 39 years old, a key Chapito who's reportedly been trying to wrest power from former Sinaloa Cartel leaders, some of whom are now the Chapitos' rivals. Ivan and another brother, Alfredo, were briefly taken hostage by the rival Jalisco New Generation Cartel while their dad was still running the show from prison in 2016. Joaquin Guzmán López. Little is known about Joaquin. He's kept a relatively low profile compared to his brothers, but he does appear to be directly involved in cartel operations. The Department of Justice charged him, along with Ivan, with drug trafficking. Jesus Alfredo Guzmán Salazar. Generally referred to as Alfredo or Alfredillo, he's on the Drug Enforcement Administration's most wanted list, the only one of Chapo's kids to have that distinction. He's believed to be running parts of the cartel with brother Ivan, and he's not doing it humbly. Alfredo's become known for his lavish lifestyle, which he flaunts without reservation on social media, despite being one of the DEA's most wanted. He was reportedly partying a lot rather than taking his drug trafficking job seriously while being groomed to take a leadership role in the cartel when he was kidnapped by the Jalisco New Generation Cartel in 2016 with Ivan. History. Ovidio, Ivan, and Jesus Alfredo were apparently brought into the Sinaloa Cartel's criminal operations at a young age as teenagers by their father and El Mayo in order to learn the ins and outs of the organization. Ovidio has garnered the most attention in recent years. In October 2019, Mexican security forces launched a poorly planned operation to capture Ovidio in the Sinaloa state capital of Culiacan. Shortly after word of Ovidio's detention spread, Sinaloa cartel members responded in force, swarming the city and launching an all-out offensive to demand his release. President Andrés Manuel López Obrador ultimately ordered that the operation be stopped and that the presumed criminal be set free. For their part, Ivan and Jesus are also thought to be important cartel operatives. In 2016, the two brothers were among a group of men abducted by the Jalisco Cartel New Generation from a restaurant in an upscale district of the Mexican Tourism Center, Puerto Vallarta, in Jalisco State, the CJNG's home turf. Both sons were later released. However, Jesus seems to have taken on an increasingly prominent role in the Sinaloa cartel's business. In fact, he has landed himself on the DEA most wanted list, the only son to earn that distinction. In 2015, U.S. prosecutors also indicted him alongside his father and a number of other cartel leaders on drug trafficking charges. Jesus is also believed to play an important international role for the group. In 2016, he allegedly spent a few months in the Medellin under the protection of La Terraza, one of the sprawling city's most powerful criminal gangs. Not much is known about Joaquin, who has kept a relatively low profile in comparison to his other brothers. That said, in February 2019, the U.S. Justice Department indicted him alongside Ovidio for conspiring to traffic cocaine, methamphetamine and marijuana into the United States. In their father's absence following his final 2016 arrest and subsequent extradition, the Chapitos had been at odds with El Mayo, as well as their uncle, Aureliano Guzmán López, alias El Guano, over control of the group's operations. As a result, fierce battles between the two sides have continued for years. Most recently, in May 2020, José Rodrigo Arechiga Gamboa, alias El Chino Antrax, once the head of the Sinaloa Cartel's Antrax hit squad and an associate of El Mayo, was found dead after escaping federal probation supervision in San Diego. The Chapitos are believed to be behind the slaying. El Chino Antrax was a close associate of El Mayo, growing up with the Zambada family and alongside El Mayo's sons in Culiacan. With the help of the Salazar, a local group aligned with the Sinaloa Cartel for years, the Chapitos have sought to secure control of a key drug trafficking corridor stretching from their home base in Sinaloa, through Sonora and Baja California, and over the U.S.-Mexico border. Increased firepower may be helping their bid. In early March, the Mexican Army and National Guard raided 4 houses in Navojoa municipality in the south of Sonora state, seizing an arsenal of almost 3 million rounds of ammunition of varying calibers, 6.50 caliber rifles, more than 150 handguns and automatic rifles, dozens of grenades and 12 bulletproof vests, among other drugs, magazines and tactical gear. This was one of the largest criminal arsenals ever seized in Mexico territory. The primary stomping grounds for the Chapitos are in their birthplace of Sinaloa State, the group's fiefdom in northwest Mexico along the country's Pacific coast, especially in the capital city of Culiacan. El Chapo's sons seem to have much more sway and strength within Culiacan and other urban centers. On the other hand, El Mayo is believed to maintain a strong hold on his rural networks in the areas surrounding the capital city, which the Chapitos haven't yet been able to seize control of. As a whole, the Sinaloa Cartel is operational in major cities stretching from New York City to Buenos Aires and countless others in between. The group also operates in at least 17 Mexican states, and by some estimates, in as many as 50 countries. More recently, the feud between the Chapo sons and El Mayo has spread beyond its longtime center in Sinaloa to reach the states of Baja California and Sonora. In 2022, they also intensified a long-running battle against the Caborca cartel in Sonora, following the arrest of that rival group's founder, Rafael Caro Quintero. Enemies and allies. At the present moment, their father's former right-hand man, Ishmael Zambada, appears to be internal enemy number 1 for the Chapitos. In addition, there have been reported family frictions with their uncle, El Guano, over control of drug trafficking territory and alleged extortion payments he was thought to be charging in parts of Sinaloa. In addition, the Chapitos have battled the Beltran labor organization, the Sinaloa Cartel's one-time ally, before a 2008 split kicked off a bloody battle between the two groups. In 2016, more than 100 Beltran Leyva members were reportedly responsible for looting El Chapo's mother's home in the mountains of Sinaloa, forcing her and hundreds of others from nearby communities to flee the area. To help in their ongoing turf wars, the Chapitos have recruited allies across several states. This list includes former rivals such as Pablo Edwin Herta Nuno, alias El Flaquito, formerly of the Arellano Felix cartel in Baja California, as well as longtime associates such as Nestor Ernesto Perez Salas in Culiacan. But the CJNG remain a top enemy of the Chapitos as they and the Sinaloa cartel battle for ultimate control over Mexico's vast criminal economies. CJNG leader Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, alias El Mencho, even allegedly assembled a hit squad to hunt down and kill El Chapo's sons. The U.S. put $5 million reward on 4 of El Chapitos. Government just offered a $5 million reward to anyone with information that could lead to the capture of each of Joaquin El Chapo Guzmán López's sons. The announcement from the Biden administration came on the heels of a similar bounty placed on the head of El Chapo's brother, Aureliano Guzmán López aka Guano, and the tripling of the reward for his former Sinaloa cartel partner El Mayo Zambada to $15 million. Mexico Army failed to arrest El Chapo's son. A young man in a button-down shirt and black baseball cap walks out, his hands in the air. Many Mexicans would have recognized him immediately: Ovidio Guzmán López, a son of notorious drug kingpin Joaquin El Chapo Guzmán. He had been indicted on a charge of drug trafficking in the United States months earlier. He's told to put his hands on a wall, but then things quickly get strange. Guzmán is asked to make a phone call. "Tell them to stop everything," says an officer. The officer is referring to the chaos that had consumed Culiacan as Guzmán was detained. The Sinaloa Cartel, which has enormous power across the northwestern city, deployed like a military division that emerged from the ether to kidnap security personnel and burn buses. Mexican security officials quickly realized they were being overpowered. They needed Guzmán to call off his men. That was the idea behind the phone call he is seen making in the video. "Stop everything. Stop everything. I turned myself in," Guzmán says on the phone. "I don't want them to make a mess." To resolve the situation, security forces released Guzmán back to the cartel, a deeply controversial peace offering intended to put an end to the day's violence. Guzmán had been held for around 3 hours. Los Chapitos terrorized Culiacan after Ovidio Guzmán arrest. Violence swept across the Mexican city of Culiacan on Thursday after authorities arrested Ovidio Guzmán, the son of drug kingpin Joaquin El Chapo Guzmán and one of the leaders of Los Chapitos, a faction of the Sinaloa Cartel led by El Chapo's sons. Residents were advised to remain indoors as alleged members of Los Chapitos sought retribution for the arrest, blocking roads, stripping drivers of their cars and cell phones, and shooting at whim. 3 airports in Sinaloa were closed, while many highways were blocked by burning cars and trucks. Expectation. Looking ahead, the Chapitos certainly have a leg up on El Mayo as far as longevity goes. The old capo is reportedly in bad health and battling diabetes. However, El Mayo's roots in the Sinaloa Cartel run deep. The fact that the Chapitos have been unsuccessful in seizing total control of the group's operations thus far suggests that El Mayo still has plenty of fight left in him. However, their grip is slowly tightening. The expansion of their territory to Sonora, Baja California and Chihuahua has given them a major advantage along the U.S. border. Their specialization in synthetic drug trafficking, alongside marijuana and cocaine, provides an ever-steady supply of cash. And their reputation, through the Chapiza movement, continues to grow. The arrest of Ovidio in January 2023, however, poses a major question. Will the group stay united, or will fractures begin to emerge?